If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with the return of Under the Radar. It has been a long while since we've done an episode of Under the Radar where I take a look at albums I couldn't do full reviews for during the weekend of release. So I'm here to talk about a few albums that came out the weekend of January 20th. And I figured the first one I'm going to talk about is the biggest out of these albums I'm talking about in this episode, and that is the latest from German symphonic power metal act Twilight Force with At the Heart of the Wintervale. So yeah, this is my first time checking out Twilight Force. I've heard this name pop up over the past 6.5 years, I believe, after their second album came out in 2016. Yeah, this is a new band. Well, relatively new. They've been around for now 12 years, 11 years roughly. And this is their, I want to say this is their fourth album? Yeah, fourth album. So, yeah, first time checking out these guys, and, you know, symphonic power metal. Now, I'm wishy-washy when it comes to symphonic metal or power metal, though I am a fan of Rhapsody of Fire, and I can definitely tell Rhapsody of Fire is a huge inspiration on Twilight Force, as I can draw some similarities to Rhapsody of Fire through these songs with how epic they get, and how uplifting all these songs are, and the storytelling aspect going on here. And also, what I think makes this album unique, you get blast beats on a couple of songs, whether it's like more black metal blasts or even kind of death metal blasts, even though they're just being played on top of this epic, uplifting, symphonic power metal sound. But I do love the stories that they're telling on this album. Of course, it's Dungeons and Dragons, Tolkien stuff, you know, Dragonborns, all that kind of such. And yeah, some of that can rub off can rub me the wrong way a little bit, especially if it's like done way too much. But I actually like the approach Twilight Force does, and like even in a couple of songs, it sounds like you're getting a scene from a movie or a TV show in the lyrics and the spoken word dialogue, what have you. But musically, I thought this album had some really cool hooks, some really cool leads, like these leads, full of shred, which of course that's a given when it comes to power metal. But overall, I have to say, for my first time checking out Twilight Force, this was some really good stuff. I don't think they're as good as Rhapsody of Fire, but at the same time, they don't really have to be better than Rhapsody of Fire. But for a symphonic power metal album, this was some good stuff. I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. Really good songs, especially the longer tracks, like the 10+ minute songs. They were able to vary up all the tempos and feel more like a prog track. But top to bottom, didn't feel like it dragged on at all. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Now on to album number 2 for this week's Under the Radar, and that is Conjureth with the Parasitic Chambers. So this is a band I have not heard about, and I think this is their second album. Their first one came out in 2021, so this is a relatively new band. This is a Southern California death metal act, and right out of the gate when listening to this album, holy shit does it sound old school as fuck. Like, the production kind of has like a bit of that early Asphyx sound to it, as far as the production being super dirty but yet clear at the same time somehow. It's like you can hear everything, but it sounds raw, filthy, and grimy and dirty. So that's what it's like with the production. The songwriting and the music, however, most of these songs are very thrashy in terms of the death metal. More like, you know, Altars of Era Madness. Jesus Christ. I am losing it tonight. Altars of Madness era Morbid Angel and Deicide kind of mashed together. A little bit of Vader and Sinister as well I can hear on this album because of that more thrashy, evil sound, but with that production of like early Asphyx. So yeah, most of these songs are very much thrash forward, except for the final track. The final track, pretty much a Death Doom song, kind of in that vein of Asphyx or even Hooded Menace a little bit. So yeah, it's a very interesting way to end the album after you've just been hit with bullet trains of aggression and speed. You get hit at the very end with something that's slow, cavernous. So yeah, there is a little bit of that like incantation influence in terms of like how cavernous it can get, but with that thrash energy really set it apart. This was actually a great album. This is fun. It's under 40 minutes, so it kind of flies by quick. I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. This is for a brand new band, and this is their sophomore effort. Way to go. I might pick this one up, hopefully. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for Conjureth. Now on to album number 3, and that is, well, we got a debut. This is the first album from an Australian death thrash band called Idle Ruin with the Fell Tyrant. So yeah, this is a debut album from a new band out of Australia playing death thrash. And their brand of death thrash definitely remind me a lot of Exodus in the riffing and in some of the vocal passages. Like, this sounds a lot like modern Exodus when it comes down to the thrash side. The death metal side is more in just the gruffer vocal approach, and there are some songs that have like some death metal DB hardcore moments, and some triplet chugs. You do get some triplet chugs on this album, but it's mostly just straight up thrashy aggression all throughout this whole album. Then again, Australia's got a ton of like thrash hybrid bands, mostly blackened thrash, but you do have some death thrash, and this is another band, a new band in that whole scene out there down in the land down under, pulling off some really cool stuff right here. Granted, I will say, perhaps a complaint I had was towards the end of the album, it did start to feel like it was dragging a little bit, and it kind of ruined the album for me just by a little bit, but it's a minor complaint. I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. Solid potential for a new band, and I look forward to hearing what this band has in store for the next album, whenever that may be. But yeah, 8 out of 10. And now to the fourth and final album for this week's Under the Radar, and that is Faithxtractor with Contempt for a Failed Dimension. So I was curious about this one because of two things. This is a band on Redefining Darkness Records, and two, they're from Cincinnati, Ohio, just about 2 hours down the road from me. So I wanted to check this out, and also I found out that both of the members of this band are in another death metal band called Surgekill with Steve-O from Impetigo. So lots of curious thoughts going into this album, and this album also, not including the Sepultura cover at the end, is 24 plus minutes, so it's very short, but boy, this album does not hold back its brutality. But at the same time as the brutality, there are occasional moments of melody, kind of like melodies you would hear from At the Gates, Hypocrisy. Like, you have a little bit of a melodic death metal feel at times in certain parts of the album, but other than that, this album is just freight train aggression, brutality. The vocals are so fucking guttural, I can't even describe it. The closest guy I can compare these vocals to is Damian Lesky from Broken Hope. Like, they're very putrid sounding, to say the very least. And I love how this album has thrash moments in the tempo, then other times it gets into like a bolt thrower groove, and it's really well done. It's well paced. Like I said, nothing feels wasted to me, and everything goes by really quick because it's only a 24-minute album. So overall, this was a really good one. I give this one 8.5 out of 10. Really good stuff right here. So a Redefining Darkness Records band and an Ohio band within death metal. Man, the Ohio death metal scene just keeps getting better, it seems. With the more bands coming up, the better the scene is becoming. So there you have it. And that does it for this week's Under the Radar. What was your guys' thoughts on all 4 albums I covered in this video? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, horns high. See you guys later.